Hey bass anglers, today I've got 3 shallow water Senko dock fishing tips that will help you in the fall. Like right now, the fish are up under docks, the largemouth have moved, they're not out on the weed points, they're not in the flats, they've moved up under docks, hard cover, and they're very shallow. And the Senko's an effective tip, and I want to make sure that I simplify this for you. Sometimes we breeze right past some things that we think we take for granted when we're fishing, but I'm going to give you 3 tips that are going to help you connect on Senko fishing more often under docks. The first thing is boat positioning. And there are several different ways you can go about it. If you have power poles or talons or whatever, you can actually get your boat positioned in a way that gives you the best angle under the target you're looking for, the window of opportunity under the dock, whether it's the front of the dock, the side of the dock, between the motor and the pontoon on a pontoon boat, or whatever opening that you see where you've got shade and some deeper water underneath the dock. And by deeper water, I mean you have 2 feet where it's 1 foot around it, or 3 feet where it's 2 feet around it. Where you think there's a little more shade or a little more cover, those windows that you see, you need to be able to cast under them, so you need to get positioned correctly. It helps if you have all kinds of backhanding skills and you can cast and get that lure to skip in all kinds of different awkward positions, but not everybody does have those skills. So if you're good at getting it overhand right-handed, if you're a right-handed angler, then you need to get yourself in that position to make that cast. So getting position is important. So if you don't have means of pinning your boat down with power poles, for instance, then you need to use your trolling motor, and then wind can become a factor. You need to play the wind, right? But I would say this, sometimes the wind is blowing in the opposite direction that you need it to blow in order to be able to get time to fish it, which is going to be step 2. But you need to be able to get position. So use the wind to your advantage when it is an advantage, and when it's not, use whatever means you have, whether that's anchoring down upstream from the angle that you need. And you might need to anchor 3 times around that dock. But I'm telling you, a lot of times there are several fish under these docks. So it is worth the extra time to get position, get the advantage so that you can make the cast. I think sometimes as anglers we'll drift by and the wind's wrong and we won't take advantage of certain angles because we don't have the advantage in that angle. And I would suggest that we fight a little bit, whether you're anchoring, whether you're positioning against the wind and you have to make multiple casts to that spot. You need to get in position so that you have the most advantage from the angle that you can skip from. So I know that sounds simple, but I know many times myself, especially when I was a younger angler, if I didn't have the advantage, I'd just blow by to the next dock. And if I got 1 or 2 strong positions and things, the wind laid down and everything was right for that one good cast that I could make, then I'd catch a fish. And I used to think that it was the docks, but as I've gotten more patient and persistent with getting that angle and making that angle happen under a dock, I catch more fish. The second thing that you need to do is you need to fish the bait appropriately. And by that I mean you need to, once you get it skipped up under there, you need to leave it alone. A Senko will fish itself. You don't need to jig it and jerk it, and I think a lot of times we're moving it before it's fished itself effectively. And by that, I mean a Senko shimmies all the way down. So you make that skip and it gets to its position in the back up underneath that dock. Now let that thing sink in maybe 30 seconds. Sometimes it can shimmy all the way down to the bottom and sit on the bottom and they'll pick it up off the bottom. So let the Senko fish itself. And you'll notice in some of these videos that I'm doing where I throw it under and I leave it on a slack line until the fish actually picks it up. And then the third thing comes into play next. Once the fish picks it up and the line goes tight, you simply pull back on it a little bit and keep your rod tip high, and now you're going to be setting the hook on the fish. And the fish literally sets the hook on himself, and now you're in an advantageous position to be able to play him around dock posts, over weeds, around pipes and poles and cables. It's very important to keep continuous pressure on him. So I've thrown it under there, my line is slack, the Senko's fishing itself, the line goes tight, I feel the fish, I just simply lean back on him a little bit and I reel up, and I keep the line tight. Now I'm just keeping the line tight, and sometimes I'll feel the cover I'm up against, and I'll feel the fish work himself around from the continuous pressure that I've kept on him. My drag is set appropriately, but I'm just kind of leaning and pulling and reeling, and I'm putting moderate, even pressure on him. You don't see any big hook sets where I can, I'm around a cable already, he's grabbed it and swam under something, and now when I set the hook, I've broken the line. I'm actually using the whole system and its components to its most advantage to actually have that fish swim himself back out by keeping moderate, even pressure on him. I've seen a lot of fish lost by not fishing that Senko effectively, and then I've had a lot of success actually pulling fish out of crazy spots using 10-pound braid and 10-pound fluorocarbon leader line with a Senko under a dock by using those three key principles. Be persistent about your angles. 2, let the Senko fish itself. And then 3rd, put moderate, even pressure on the fish continuously as you work him back off and under that dock. So try those 3 tips. I think you'll be more successful fishing a Senko under a dock this season. Hope those tips were helpful. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the water.